the thing that trips us up, that takes us from our sort of preeminence, the world's reserve currency, those sort of things that we enjoy right now and perhaps take for granted?
In the long term, yes. I think in the intermediate term, nothing really stops this train. I think this is kind of locked in for quite a while, and it's not like calling for something major by next year or the year after. But I do think that we are now more structurally in this period where we can't necessarily assume that the foreign sector is going to be buying a lot of our treasuries. We can't assume that the private sector is always ready to step in with reasonable yields. And even to the extent that they do, basically anyone holding those is likely to get gradually devalued in terms of their purchasing power over the next 5, 10, 15 years. So I do think it is a longer term issue that has consequences now. And it's, a decade ago, this was a meaningful political item that would come up. They would debate what are we going to do about the deficits. And now one of the things that both parties kind of agree on is not really to cut any of the major spending areas. They've got plenty of other differences, but the major areas of spending and the size are not really being meaningful topics in the current political climate.
And it feels like almost every year there's a new spending plan that maybe was discretionary, but now we can't cut it. So the areas that cut get smaller and smaller every single year, to your point, no matter which party's in power.
Exactly.
Lynn, great stuff. Really appreciate your work in this. This is a critical thing that everyone should understand and know about. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're going to Simply Bitcoin Live, your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution and breaking news, culture, dramatic warfare. We'll be your guide through the separation of money and state. Lynn Alden on Fox Business literally saying, quote, "Nothing stops this train." Lynn's one of the most legendary memers in this space. She's obviously incredibly brilliant. She's very smart. Her macro takes, her everything takes are amazing. But it's just funny how she's just slowly, the mematics are being introduced into, the legacy media, which I find hilarious now. But Lynn said something that, we were saying yesterday, which was the debate yesterday did not address the deficit. The debate yesterday did not address the amount of money the U.S. government continues to spend more than it collects in tax revenue, and that's unsustainable over the long term. And it's kind of like benefiting the people in power now, and like figuratively kicking the can down the road. And it's the later generations that are really going to pay the price to this. And you're already starting to feel it. If you're a millennial or you're a Gen Zer, can't afford anything, good luck trying to buy your first house. It's you don't have the opportunities that your parents once had, and it's not a political solution to this. This is it is a political solution, but not in the voting sense. It's a solution in the sense of opting out entirely, right? Opting out, changing your unit of account, and of course you can continue to live the American dream by saving, earning, and stacking in Bitcoin. In other news as well, Samson Mow, to my surprise, doubled down on his $1 million Bitcoin prediction. We only have a couple of months till the end of the year. He feels very confident about it. So we have the clip for you guys. Even me, I tend to have not as much as Opti, of course. Speaking of Opti, let me bring him up. Not as much as Opti. I don't have as such a bullish bias, but
Nico's a bear.
I'm pretty bullish overall. I think 200-300K is totally doable this cycle, but $1 million, dude, that is nuts. And that's not only Samson Mow saying this. We had Jack Mallers saying this as well. He's saying look, it could be anywhere between 250 and $1 million this cycle. So I don't know, man, but $1 million by the end of 2024, that sounds quite ambitious. What do you think, Opti?
Ambitious is putting it lightly, I would say. I think that's not going to happen personally. $1 million from here is, I don't even know how many X's. That's just crazy talk. It's over what? That's a 20X from here or something like that. I don't think that's going to happen by the end of 2024. Though, when you really think about his process, yes, a lot of people are like, okay, this is just clickbait. He's just trying to get engagement. But when you really kind of break down his thinking behind it, it's obviously kind of memeing and he's having fun. but it also, when you really think about the mechanics and the landscape and the perfect storm that is setting up for Bitcoin, I don't think it's a non-zero chance that it's not a possibility, but a million by 2024 that's personally, that sounds like some crazy talk. I do love some hopium on a Thursday or a Monday or whatever, but that just seems a little far-fetched, though. As we know with Bitcoin makes incredible runs, and it is not too much capital that makes Bitcoin run to these incredible heights. And Bitcoin does make a lot of its moves in a very short amount of time. So it is a non-zero chance that the Omega candle is a possibility, but I don't see a million by end of 2024. I think we will, if we're lucky, we're going to be hovering around all-time high by the end of the year. But take that into account that a lot of stuff happening in the Bitcoin cycles usually starts to take off after the election. So that's about 2 months. Who knows what can happen after this election process gets done in the US. And I will, we're kind of in sync here. I know everyone's yelling at us for price prediction stuff, but in the culture, I am going to show some charts. I'm not going to show my TA. I don't have TA here for you guys, but I'm going to show a bunch of different charts and signals to just show everyone that boring Bitcoin price is good. And I think we are still going to see an incredible bull run, and I'll make my case for that. So we'll see what happens. We're gonna have fun today, Nico. Simply speculation on a Thursday. This is gonna be great.
Yeah, and during the culture, and I also want to be specific as well. Like the debate, a lot of people. I had my own personal feelings about it. We talked about it yesterday, but the general consensus, I mean, depending on where you stand, is that Kamala performed better than expected. And because of that, in the betting markets, her chances of winning the election actually increased. And curiously, the price of Bitcoin dumped during the debate because of Kamala's performance. So if that's the case, I think that this election potentially will, I think it will have potential impacts on the price of Bitcoin, just because we know that the two candidates have different, regulatory perspectives on the industry as a whole, right? And other news as well, just kind of connecting this, Kraken officially disabled Lightning withdrawals in Germany due to the regulatory environment. So Darth Coin is one of those people. I think he messaged me or tagged me on Primal earlier today about politicians, and my response to you is like, yes, I think that, I love Jack Dorsey's quote actually, because I think it's really, really fitting. But I think that, my personal perspective on all this, here's Jack's quote. He says, "We reject kings, presidents, and voting. We believe in rough consensus and running code." David Clark, 1992. So I think that's a very powerful quote. But I would also say this, guys, like, the reality of the situation is that the politicians control the men with guns. And, you don't want a situation where you're persecuted for being a Bitcoiner. You don't want a China situation happening in the United States. You don't want that. You'd actually want a positive regulatory environment for Bitcoin businesses to thrive. That's my perspective. We could always move to El Salvador. Right? We've always said that. By the way, Max confirmed that Simply Bitcoin will be streaming from the Hodl House in El Salvador. We will be there for adopting Bitcoin in November. So really excited for that. Really excited about Freedom Country. At least we know we'll be safe in Freedom Country, man. But I just got to say, like, yes, like, politicians, they're scams. This is about the separation of money and state after all. But I still think that, unfortunately, in the current system, yes, the elections will have consequences from a regulatory perspective, depending in the country that you're in. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, before we jump into the show, I do want to give an incredibly special shout out to our sponsor. And of course, I'm talking about the best place to build your automatic self-custody Bitcoin stack, bitcoinwell.com. Buy real Bitcoin, enable your independence with the fastest and safest way to buy Bitcoin in Canada and the USA. To get started, go to bitcoinwell.com. You put in your email address. The sign-up process takes about 2 to 5 minutes. And every time you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, not only is it automatic self-custody. So when you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, they won't even allow you to keep your funds on the platform. As soon as the funds clear, it goes straight to your self-custody Bitcoin wallet address, and you're part of the revolution, whether you are aware of it or not, because self-custody is the revolution. If enough people take self-custody all around the world, we will effectuate change. Anyways, you earn Bitcoin Well points every time you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, and you could use those points towards the Bitcoin Wishing Well contest for an opportunity to win up to 1 million Satoshis. Get your Lightning wallets ready. First person to scan the QR code has won 500 sats. By the way, if you use promo code simplybtc, again, simplybtc, to sign up to bitcoinwell.com today, you get 3 tosses into the Bitcoin Wishing Well. All right, everybody, let's get to the numbers. All right, everybody, I want to tell you about our sponsor, Stampseed. Usually when you buy a hardware wallet, it comes with a piece of paper. And that piece of paper is where you're meant to write down your seed words. The problem is that paper is prone to water damage, fire damage, your dog could eat it. You don't want to do that. You want to properly secure your generational wealth, and this is why we recommend Stampseed. It's a titanium seed phrase storage kit. It comes with everything you need to literally hammer your seed words into a plate of titanium. It comes with the hammer, it comes with the letter stamping tools, it comes with the plate, it comes with the anvil, comes with everything. And you could literally, letter by letter, stamp those letters into a piece of titanium, a plate of titanium. That plate of titanium is fireproof, it's waterproof. Your dog's probably not going to want to eat it. This is going to stand the test of time. This is the correct way to store your generational wealth. So head over to stampseed.com today to get started and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on their website. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is $57,810. Sats per dollar, 1,730. Block height, 861,035. Blocks to halving, 188,965. Halving estimate, March 23rd, 2028. Total Lightning Network capacity, 4,981 BTC. Capacity value, 288 million. Realized monetary inflation, 1.38%. Market capitalization, 1.14 trillion. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, 6.53%. Anyways, I do want to react to this. I have the clip for you guys. I'll play it for you guys in a second. But check out this headline from Bitcoin.com. Samson Mow doubles down on his $1 million Bitcoin price prediction. Let's check out the clip. Here we go.
Year when you said that Bitcoin could reach $1 million this year, and if not this year, 2025. Do you still stand behind that?
I think so. The market's wrong. Like Bitcoin is massively undervalued right now at whatever it is, 56,000-7,000 per coin. And again, reiterating what I'm saying, there is just so little Bitcoin out there. You can't double your holdings as a large entity at this point. So it's going to shoot up. The pressure has to be alleviated in other ways. So what I see right now is Bitcoin's like a beach ball, and we're pushing it underwater right now, and people are starting to get bored. Maybe it's intentional, maybe it's paper Bitcoin shorting Bitcoin and pushing the price down, but that is not sustainable simply because there's so much buy demand. Every quarter, Tether is going to be buying Bitcoin. Every couple months, MicroStrategy is buying, Semler is buying, and we're going to see more and more of that. One of the largest pension funds in the world in Korea is allocating to MicroStrategy now. So you can see the tide already turning. But just like in The Big Short, the market takes time to realize what's happening. It's always going to be the people that are paying attention to Bitcoin that see all these factors and are allocating to it. This is why Michael Saylor is going to try to buy as much as he can right now.
So before we continue the conversation, here's Mandrick. Mandrick's an OG Bitcoiner. He's known for selling baklava for Bitcoin in 2011. Talk about OG. Bitcoin isn't going to magically dump to 1 million overnight magically pump to 1 million overnight via an Omega candle. It's going to be a painful multi-year journey with no guaranteed chance at success. It's a reflection of humanity itself. Prepare yourself accordingly. I mean, I love Samson's optimism. He is right though, in the sense that like I am seeing this too. You're seeing public companies, you're seeing nation states, you're seeing pension funds, you're seeing banks get exposure to Bitcoin either through MicroStrategy or the ETFs. Now, is this are we seeing potential rehypothecation? Is Bitcoin's price being suppressed? But I'll tell you what, there isn't enough Bitcoin to go around. I did the math for you guys yesterday. There's roughly 50 to 60 million millionaires all around the world. If you divided, 21 million by the 50, 60 million millionaires, there wouldn't be one Bitcoin enough for each millionaire, right? So this is an absolutely scarce asset. You have MicroStrategy, you have countries, you have pension funds, you have hedge funds. They're all buying Bitcoin like crazy. If Michael Saylor keeps outperforming the entirety of the S&P, I'm sure that other companies are going to follow. Like it's an absolute no-brainer in my humble opinion. But getting to his prediction of $1 million Bitcoin and him doubling down on it, also, I have to give a shout out to the original creator. Shout out to CoinDesk for conducting that interview. Go check out their YouTube channel and their Twitter for more info. But it's bold. It's bold, but at the same time, and I know the laws of big numbers and diminishing returns, and I know of those things, but 2020, I remember vividly. And I remember at the end of 2016 when this thing was under $1,000. Did I know that I think that Bitcoin was going to go to $20,000 like the following year? Absolutely not. Like I had no clue that was going to happen. So, this kind of goes to what I've been saying is like what I'm seeing this cycle is people have PTSD from the previous cycle because Bitcoin definitely underperformed compared to people's expectations. I think Plan B set up expectations that it was 100K guaranteed, everyone was going to be happy, yappity doo-dah, blah, 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 blah. But, it underperformed in a way. It kind of had this like double top. I made the case that a lot of that was influenced because of the China mining ban and the hash rate drop. That kind of took the momentum out of the Bitcoin price run up. And of course, not to mention the rehypothecation by FTX. So, is this cycle, what I'm seeing is that Bitcoin tends to do the exact opposite of what everyone thinks. And what I'm seeing this cycle is pessimism. So people are saying 100K, 150K Bitcoin, that's what we're going to top out to. And again, just like the previous cycle, Bitcoin tends to do the exact opposite of what people think. Now, does this mean anything? No. Does anyone know where the price of Bitcoin is going next year? No. Does this change my strategy or or what should be your strategy? No. What I recommend is dollar cost average, stay humble, stack sats, stay solvent, and time in the market beats timing the market. And that's what I've seen the most successful strategy. I've seen people that have tried to time it, that have tried to leverage and all that, and it's ended catastrophically in so many different ways. We also have the CEO and founder of Bitcoin in the chat, so I do want to give a shout out to Yellow. Yellow, welcome. If you guys are concerned about the price of Bitcoin, please send please send Yellow a direct message on Twitter. Flood his inbox. He is Satoshi, and he is responsible for Bitcoin's price movements. Opti, what's your take on all this?
Well, first of all, I do want to touch on Yellow. Actually, it is the reverse, Nico. Yellow is on the beat to expose the 58K price manipulators. He's got all the receipts. So if you have any leads on that front, hit up Yellow. No, I'm trolling. Oh man, I think I need a new mic stand, Nico. So I didn't touch it. We'll see what happens. Let me know if it's getting worse. But okay, going to this price prediction, he did say 1 million by 2024, the end of this year, 2024, which everyone in the chat is calling me a bear because they're like, Bitcoin did 20x in 2017. Why can't it do it in this bull run? I agree with that sentiment. I am 100% in agreement on the idea that Bitcoin can run 20x in this leg up of the bull cycle. But where I disagree is I don't see that happening by the end of 2024, guys. This is 3 months. Is Bitcoin going to run to 1 million in 3 months? No. If it did run to 1 million in 3 months, personally, this is my take, whatever. I'm just a guy on Twitter and, been around for a little bit, not as long as Samson. But if Bitcoin did run to 1 million, I think that would be signal that there is catastrophe in the traditional financial world. It would mean the fiat dollar is dying imminently. And I know you can hear Max Kaiser say that the fiat dollar is dying. And even Lynn Alden kind of agrees that there is no stopping this train, that eventually we know the end game is fiat will go to zero against Bitcoin. I think we are all kind of in agreement on that, but no one knows the timeline. It's probably going to be outlasting our lives, but eventually the whole world will get on a Bitcoin standard. So with that being said, and that out, in the open, I think the $1 million prediction by 2024 is a bit outlandish. I know he is probably just shit posting and having fun, but Narwhal kind of did say something that I think is also signal on Rumble is Samson is talking to a lot of people and these private conversations we're not privy to. So we don't know exactly what he's seeing on the back end. Again, this could be him just kind of shit posting. But with that being said, I've been saying this for a while as well, that I think we are seeing a perfect storm in alignment for this next leg up in the bull run, or the banana zone, as we like to call it. And it seems like the game has changed a little bit, especially with the ETFs. We're seeing pension funds start to embrace Bitcoin, or at least start to buy some ETFs. We're seeing more corporations follow the MicroStrategy strategy. We see El Salvador continue to stack Bitcoin, and there's been a bunch of rumblings about other nation states following the El Salvador strategy. And we haven't seen the retail FOMO that we saw in 2017, though the macroeconomic landscape has changed since 2017. I think the biggest counter to that idea is everyone's poor right now. Everyone's broke. Everyone's dealing with inflation, and they're trying to survive paycheck to paycheck. So that might be another variable that changes what we potentially see as a retail FOMO coming up in 2025. But again, there is a non-zero chance to see some Omega Godzilla candles. And as we know, Bitcoin does make incredible price moves in very short times. If I remember, I think the number is like Bitcoin makes most of its moves in about 12 days or something. I'd have to refresh that. You guys can fact check me in the chat. But Bitcoin moves explosively in a short amount of time. And a lot of the pain that us Bitcoiners feel is because it goes in these cycles, and all of the sideways and crab market consolidation, bear markets, it's just an opportunity for us to stack sats, to acquire as much Bitcoin as possible, to get our cash flows up. So as much as I do love the hopium of it's going forever, we also got to remember the stack sats, stay humble meme. Don't get over leverage. I know so many friends that got wrecked in, what's the last cycle, 2022 or whatever, where they kind of over leveraged themselves. They took out some fiat loans, and then the price dumped on them. So don't get over your skis, as the saying goes. Make sure you are not over leveraging yourself, because you can really get wrecked in Bitcoin if you do that. Just make sure that you are building your skills, getting your cash flows up, and maybe selling your chairs, however you want to do this. But the name of the game is acquiring as much sats as possible. So when it does go to 1 million, we're all in position, and we're happy about it, and we're geniuses for about 3 weeks, and then everyone's calling us idiots.
Oh man. no, and a really good take. And I'm just trolling Yellow in the chat. But yeah, it's let's see. It is very bold, but I will say again, guys, like you don't know, you just don't know. Which is why the best strategy, in my opinion, is just make sure that you have more Bitcoin than the day before. Another also component to maybe not in the first cycle. Maybe in the first cycle, you have to be very disciplined not to sell your Bitcoin. But, it's okay to sell some of your Bitcoin at one point. Like, it's okay. It's okay to sell some of your Bitcoin at one point. You have to live. You have to enjoy life, right? Maybe
we go off the chat. We're taking Nico off the stream.
Maybe not in the first couple cycles, but eventually, you have to start living a little bit, man. But anyways, but
Fiat
just remember,
Nico exposed.
No, but just remember, it's gonna be that with that Bitcoin that you're spending, that's gonna hurt a little bit for sure. Like, and I remember this. Remember the days, Opti, where we used to be able to buy a million sats for $100. That was delicious. That was
I should have stacked harder.
That was amazing. Those were the days. Those were some good days. But anyways, yeah. Just to summarize it all up, very bold prediction from Samson Mow. Can I say that he's wrong 100%? I don't think so.
No one knows.
No one knows. Let's see what happens next year. If Bitcoin continues following its previous cycles, which it always has, then 2025 should be a really, really good year, as well as the end of the Q4 of 2024. People are upset. Anyways, guys, if you guys are enjoying the show, there's roughly 366 of you guys watching live on YouTube right now. Make sure to smash that like button. Help us break 100 likes within the first hour of the show. Helps push the show forward. And
no, let's get 200 likes.
Let's get 200 likes.
Yeah, we're already at 100.
We just broke 100 live viewers on Rumble and about 20 or so on Zap.stream. I mean, we're not matching that first day of Zap.stream, but I'll take it. And of course, the 1,000 of you guys watching on X as well. So whatever platform you guys are watching, smash the like button, share the video, comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. Anyways, guys, stay tuned. We got the news segment. Lots to talk about. Let's check it out. Here we go. Special shout out to our sponsor, Compass Mining. They make Bitcoin mining accessible to everyone, from beginners to experienced investors. Their turnkey miners gets you online and hashing within 48 hours, making it easier than ever to start your mining journey. Plus, with their active marketplace, you can resell your miner at any time, adding flexibility and value to your investment. Visit their website to access a wealth of resources, learning everything you need to know about Bitcoin mining. Take your first step into the world of Bitcoin mining with confidence. Discover more at compassmining.io. Again, compassmining.io, and see how Compass Mining can power your success. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation. It's self-custody done right. They built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US, and it integrates seamlessly with their free app called Envoy. Passport is fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet design with a UX reminiscent of a classic feature phone, so you'll know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. It's also air-gapped, meaning Bitcoin stays offline, never touching an internet connection. It's Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, air-gap security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes with Passport at foundation.xyz/simply. Get peace of mind for your piece of Bitcoin. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I made it incredibly easy for you guys to take self-custody. You can scan the QR code on your screen right now. It'll take you directly to the Foundation Devices website, where you can use promo code SIMPLY to get a discount on the Passport hardware wallet. Completely open source, Incredibly easy to use. You could pair it up with the Envoy app. Like literally, not your keys, not your cheese. Take self-custody. All right, everybody, let's get to today's news. UK Parliament introduces bill to recognize Bitcoin and crypto as personal property. The new legislation aims to provide legal clarity and protection for Bitcoin and digital assets. Written by our boy, Nick Hoffman. The UK Parliament has introduced the property, digital assets, etc. bill today. Did he really put? Anyways, bill today to officially and legally recognize Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and other digital assets as personal property. With this new legislation, for the first time, British law would officially protect digital holdings such as Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, non-fungible tokens, and carbon credits. Goes on to say, quote, it is essential that the law keeps pace with evolving technologies, and this legislation will mean that the sector can maintain its position as a global leader in crypto assets and bring clarity to complex property cases. It goes on to say, quote, our world-leading legal services form a vital part of our economy, helping to drive forward growth and keep Britain at the heart of the international legal industry. The bill aims to address a long-standing legal gap where digital assets were previously excluded from English and Welsh property law. As a result, owners of digital assets had little recourse if their holdings were interfered with, leaving them in legal gray area. Under the new bill, digital assets will be classified as a third category of property, allowing owners to benefit from stronger legal protections against fraud and theft. The legislation will also assist courts in resolving complex disputes, such as those arising in divorce settlements or business agreements involving digital assets. Quote, the bill will also ensure Britain maintains its pole position in the emerging global crypto race by being one of the first countries to recognize these assets in law. The UK government further explained that with this new legislation, their legal sector will be better equipped to respond to these new technologies and attract more businesses and investment to the legal services industry. Quote, the UK has passed a new bill that will allow crypto and other digital assets to be recognized as personal property. That, quote, that means owners of digital assets will gain legal protection against fraud and scams. So I'll be honest with you, I'm very hesitant every time, and I know Darth Coin's in the chat right now, very hesitant of, any type of government kind of getting involved and, making their voices heard about certain legal things. But I do believe this is a step in the right direction, specifically for the people that for whatever reason decided to leave their coins on exchanges and they didn't have a legal recourse because it was in the gray area, it wasn't considered property. Ideally, I want to see it considered currency. Because then that opens a very interesting conversation. When something is considered currency, then it's like you don't get charged, for example, if the euro or the dollar gains value against each other. You don't get charged for the difference of that. You get charged for, if you buy Bitcoin at a certain price and then you sell Bitcoin at a certain price, and you get charged capital gains based on that gain. I don't think that's a fair law. And the reason I don't think that's a fair law is why should I be penalized for choosing a better currency? That's a very important discussion that needs to be had. Why should I be penalized for choosing a currency that doesn't have inflation baked into it? Like, are we getting reimbursed for the purchasing power that we're losing because we are forced by legal tender laws to use local fiat currencies? Like, we're not being compensated for that. In the United States, they passed the 16th Amendment, which ratified the establishment of the Federal Reserve System, and also coincidentally the same year, the introduction of the federal income tax. It was the same freaking year. I don't think that's a coincidence. So my question to you guys is, why, if we're already paying taxes, it's ratified in law, why do we have to pay the inflation tax as well? And politicians just keep gaslighting. They keep providing solutions for this. We played you a couple videos for you guys yesterday. One called the Inflation Reduction Act that literally, the bill literally spent $369 billion That's not how you lower inflation. Also, you have Elizabeth Warren basically promising that she's going to lower the cost of housing and all these goods by taxing rich people. But in reality, the reason that the cost of housing has gone through the roof is because they printed money. It's because of inflation. So yeah, I mean, it's a step in the right direction. It definitely offers more legal protections if you're in the UK and you own Bitcoin. But what I would like to see is Bitcoin in the eyes of the law seen as a currency, because then that opens up a further discussion into why is there currencies that lose purchasing power and why are there currencies that gain purchasing power? Shouldn't I have the right to use the currency that most benefits me? And then that's going to be a very difficult discussion for governments to have. Right now, they've been operating in this place where essentially they kind of get away with they kind of get away with it because people are so uninformed in regard to inflation. Like they still believe that inflation is, it's necessary. It's a fact of law. Like it has to exist in order for society to function. It's our failure as Bitcoiners. We really have to get the message out. Opti, what's your take on all this?
Yeah, well, not to rehash what you said, I totally agree with all that. I think the signal here is what they kind of said, in that they want to maintain, what they say be the premier leaders in the crypto asset industry, or whatever the wording was. But it really reminds me of what we played yesterday with Max Kaiser and this whole idea of the global hash war playing out. And I think this is the signal going on. And as much as a lot of Bitcoiners are thinking that, hey, I don't know how I feel about any nation state adding Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset, the game we're seeing right now is that ever since Wall Street has entered into the Bitcoin space with a huge splash, everyone is now waking up to the fact that, if I don't at the very least try to engage with the Bitcoin industry, then I'm going to be left behind. And this last week, we saw that Russia is in their country, or at least through banks and whatever the technicals are, they're allowing Bitcoin and crypto trading in their country. So you're seeing that this global hash war is playing out. A lot of countries are incredibly far behind El Salvador in that regard. But again, we got to remember, El Salvador has a GDP of like $32 billion. So they're a tiny country. So seeing the UK at the very least attempt to try to engage with the Bitcoin industry, I think is signal for what's to come, that more countries, hopefully more first world nations, are starting to actually look at Bitcoin as a legitimate, hopefully soon, currency or money versus just property. And of course, like Nico was saying, there's a lot of technicals that we could probably argue against that are bad and that they aren't actually helping their citizenry. But the fact that we are seeing the global hash war play out, that people are waking up to the idea that, oh man, if I don't embrace Bitcoin, I'm going to be left behind. Of course, everyone needs Bitcoin. We say it all the time. There's 8 billion people in the world, and we all have the same problem, is that you can't save in fiat currencies. It's that our money is broken. And we have a solution now. It's called Bitcoin. So even if it's not perfect, I do like to see that they are at least attempting to engage with the Bitcoin industry. And like you said, anytime I see some kind of bills or legislation be pushed in regards to Bitcoin and the crypto industry at large, or the shitcoin industry at large, it always makes me iffy, because again, we're talking about bureaucrats. And I saw a really good Naval tweet yesterday where he said something on the lines of, technology is the innovator, technology drives the innovation, and bureaucracy and governments and regulation basically dampen that. And so as a Bitcoiner, as like a free market person, I always get iffy when I see governments and the like try to roll out legislation, because it feels like they're putting handcuffs on the industry. So at least they're attempting to engage with the industry, but this might do more harm than good. But hey, we are seeing this play out in real time. Everyone is at the very least starting to at least acknowledge Bitcoin as a legitimate investment. And then we're seeing corporations also start to acknowledge Bitcoin as a legitimate investment. We're seeing the institutions start to dive in feet first. And now we're seeing that it's also playing out on the nation state level. So as Narwhal was saying in the comments earlier, maybe Samson Mow does know something that we don't know on the nation state level. And all we really need is
I mean, that's what he's dedicated.
One big announcement. Yeah, exactly.
He's literally dedicating his life to nation state adoption. So maybe he does something. Maybe he does know something we don't. But yeah, man. I mean, a mega candle coming. I'm wondering, do we have? Yeah, we have a little bit of time to discuss this. Just very rapid fire observation. Bitcoin price fell as the presidential debate began. So here's when the presidential debate started happening, and it started to go lower. And I really believe this has to do with the fact that Kamala's odds went up during her odds of winning, according to the betting markets, went up when she was debating. People expected her to perform way worse than she did. She overperformed in the eyes of many, and Trump underperformed in the eyes of many. And we know that Trump is the pro-Bitcoin candidate and Kamala is the anti-Bitcoin candidate. And I'm just wondering, like, I think that depending on the results of the U.S. election, I think that it might have consequences on the price of Bitcoin. And no, I'm telling you, I think it might have consequences because the regulatory environment is going to be radically different depending on which candidate is going to win. So, Kami, I just read the chat.
Wow, Freudian slip.
No. I saw someone in the chat say Kamala.
Yeah, we're saying it wrong. I got yelled at that before. It's not Kamala. It's Kamala.
Kamala.
Like comma.
Okay. Anyway, that's messed up. Anyways,
no,
Opti,
that's how you say it. It's like saying a comma.
Yeah,
Kamala, not
okay.
Kamala.
Okay, Kamala.
It's Kamala.
Gotcha. Okay, so Opti,
Hashtag
what do you think?
Nico can't speak.
I can't even say pizza. Okay, Opti, what's your take on all this?
Yeah, so I'm a little conflicted on that idea, and I will kind of cover some ideas in the culture as well. But I think it doesn't necessarily have to do with Kamala in general and her doing well. I think it has more to do with the fact that there is a lot of uncertainty going into the elections, and that's probably why people are divesting in what they think is the risky asset, which is Bitcoin. And as we know with markets, people sell what they can sell the quickest. And of course, Bitcoin is the most liquid real-time metric of what's going on in the world markets. And so that's probably why the price is going down, is because not everyone is an ideological Bitcoiner and they're going to hold on to Bitcoin until moon, or, hold Bitcoin until fiat dies, etc. They are looking at it as an investment. So when there is a lot of uncertainty in the world, people start to move capital from one investment to what they think is a more riskless asset or riskless investment. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. I don't think it has to do in general with one or the other candidate and how they did in the debate. I think it's just people moving capital from what they think is risky to what they don't think is risky. And again, the status quo right now, yeah, exactly. Like, we got to remember what money is. Money is a tool so that you can minimize uncertainty going into the future. And so most people still don't view Bitcoin as a money. They just kind of view it as a speculative asset, a speculative investment. And so most people think that treasuries or, real estate or something of that sort is the least risky thing to put your money in for the long term. All of us Bitcoiners have had to kind of flip that thinking on its head, and we think the opposite. We think Bitcoin is the stable coin. Bitcoin is the safest thing to be holding on to, even if it is volatile. And so I think this is what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of big deep pockets move investments out of Bitcoin because there is so much uncertainty in the world. And as much as we've been kind of covering that the Republican Party is becoming more pro-Bitcoin and the Democrat Party, as much as they've been saying that they're going to do something good for us, are anti-Bitcoin and more pro-CBDC, I'm kind of leaning towards the idea that either way, as we get yelled at every single day, Bitcoin doesn't need politicians. I think either way, whoever gets elected, Bitcoin is going to pump, not only just because of the cycles, but if you think of it, people are kind of leaning towards this idea that Trump is going to be more free market, or, quote, free market, and the economy is going to do better. And if Kamala stays in the position of power, then the economy is going to go to trash. And so on the one side, we have Kamala coming in and everything gets nuked, hence why we're going to get some hyper explosive Bitcoin movements more on the terms of acceleration, or we get 4 years of cover with the Republican Party as the president. But either way, I think these are kind of like what's the coincidences and not what's it, correlation, not causation. But what do I know? I'm just a Bitcoiner that stacks Bitcoin.
Yep, just stay humble, stack sats. Your life just gets progressively cheaper regardless of who is in power. That's the power of using Bitcoin as a unit of account. So opt out if you don't want to deal with political money. Start living the American dream no matter where you are around the world. If you're saving and earning in Bitcoin and you have a low time preference, gives you a lot of hope for the future. Anyways, everybody, let's get to the culture. Lots to talk about. Let's check it out. Here we go. All right, everybody. I want to tell you guys about our sponsor, the Orange Pill app. Stack friends who stack sats. Join the 12,233 Bitcoiners that are currently on the Orange Pill app. The Orange Pill app is the #1 resource for Bitcoin-only events. It's also a great resource if you're traveling or perhaps you've lived in your city for a long time and you just don't know any Bitcoiners around you. You pull up the Orange Pill app on your phone and it will literally show you geographically which Bitcoiners are around you. And it gives you the ability to send them a message directly. Allows you to connect with them, build up that Bitcoiner Rolodex, make those connections. It's also one of the best ways to reach me directly. I don't really answer Twitter DMs these days or random emails. So if you want to contact me, download the Orange Pill app today, send me a DM, and every week or so, I make sure to get back to every single one of you guys. So download the Orange Pill app today, scan the QR code on your screen, or check the link in the video description. So I'm quite interested. Opti, what are we going to talk about during the culture segment today? You're talking about, what are you talking about? What were you talking about, Opti? Are you going to get us in trouble?
No. This is very, very kosher today. I might get us in trouble, not by the overlords, but by our chat, because I am going to pull out some charts. And this is just kind of what I'm seeing here. I don't do TA much. I occasionally look at lines and just wonder when we're going to break certain stuff.
When paid group?
Soon. Hit my DMs. I'll tell you what, give me 1 Bitcoin, I'll give you 2. No, so
that's a joke. That's a joke.
That's a joke. So me and Nico, actually, let me full screen myself real quick. So, our job here at Simply Bitcoin is, of course, keep you guys up to date, but we also look at kind of what's trending on YouTube and what the viewers out there on YouTube are looking for. And I think we've all kind of felt this same feeling that the Bitcoin price is so boring right now. It's literally the meme of us poking the Bitcoin logo and like do something, and then it dumps. And we've been in an incredibly long bear market. I know cheap sats are good, but it has been brutal for an industry in total. This crab market, bear market. I think at this point, it's officially the longest bear market in history. Obviously, we only have 3 data points, but it's still been a long, drawn-out bear market because of a lot of factors. And so right now, me and Nico were kind of talking about this the other night. What do most people, if they are newer to the space right now, what are they thinking? They're wanting to know, why is the Bitcoin price so boring? Why isn't the Bitcoin price pumping? When Omega Candle, all the good memes. And so I kind of want to not give you guys some hopium, but just see what a lot of people on Twitter are saying and where I think we are in the cycle, because I've been saying this for a long time. So with that being said, let's look at some of this stuff. First and foremost, absolutely love Checkmatey on Twitter. Highly recommend you guys look at his newsletter, follow him on Twitter. He's giving a lot of really good sauce on his Twitter. So TXMC goes, has the bull market ended? Which is why I wanted to do this little bit, because I think a lot of people are feeling this. And if you're newer to the space, you're like, man, Bitcoin's never going to break all-time high. It's dead. It's over. 58K forever. The 58K gang manipulating the price out there. This is whack. I came here for the riches and now I'm poorer than I have ever been. No, I'm trolling. Came for the money, stayed to fix the money. Anyways, Checkmatey goes, has the bear market ended? So the first one, has the bull market ended? And Checkmatey goes, has the bear market ended? And so you can see this chart here. Bitcoin inflation adjusted by price via 2020 dollars. And you can see what we see on this top chart, new all-time high above cost basis. So here's the last kind of pump in, what was it, 2021. And remember, we were all talking about, wow, the Bitcoin price got to all-time high before the halving. It's never happened before. And on the chart, yes, that's kind of what it looks like. But again, remember, in 2020, we've basically printed half of all dollars that have ever been printed. And if you go to the CPI calculators out there, it kind of shows that technically in purchasing power terms, we haven't actually broken fiat all-time high in Bitcoin price in fiat terms. And so here's Checkmate's response. What we see is Bitcoin's new all-time high above cost basis, but what we are actually feeling right now is that we haven't actually broken an all-time high in terms of dollar cost inflation adjusted price. And I think that's kind of what everyone's feeling right now. And we don't really have too much metrics. Again, I'm not going to necessarily give you price predictions here. It's just kind of giving us a roadmap of where we are in this cycle. So I really like this Checkmate post. You guys, again, go follow him on Twitter. And this next one, which kind of goes back to what we just covered in the news, is this idea that Bitcoin price usually doesn't start to take off until after the election cycle, which might be one of Satoshi's genius inventions or genius additions to the Bitcoin network in general, is this 4-year cycle playing out exactly with the presidential, or rather the U.S. presidential elections.
You think he did it on purpose?
I don't know. I mean, let's just say yes. It feels like it's on purpose, but there's just so many different small coincidences that happen that it almost seems like he had to have done it on purpose. But who knows? We can only speculate, and I don't want to mind read here. But this next one is another great kind of just framework of where we are in this cycle, is Marty Party Music. He goes, roadmaps to consider. You are here and you didn't buy enough. So you can see we have the 2016 in, I don't know what this is. Is this blue? And blue here, it might be purple. I don't know. And you can see that all-time high, that's the one that got me into Bitcoin in 2017. That's the one that we're all kind of referencing today, saying that Bitcoin could do a 20x. It did in 2017. And then we have the 2020-2021 bull market. You could, I guess, call that, where we always say that we kind of got stumped out because of the China mining ban. And then we are here in the white. And you can see right here is this line. And for the audio listeners, sorry, I can't really explain it too much, but come over to YouTube. And here's the American elections line in November. And it kind of goes sideways and crabs until the elections. And then after the elections, things start to get really frothy, which is kind of what I was just saying, that a lot of people are, when they feel uncertainty, they don't make any rash decisions. They go into safe assets, or maybe they just go straight into cash. And then once the elections and that uncertainty has passed, they start to go deep into the stock markets, into equities, into assets and commodities. And so this chart, I think, is very telling of where we are in this cycle, that we're probably going to do a little crabby climb until the election, a la what Mandrick was saying earlier. And so we'll see. We have, about a month or two until the elections. So right now is a good time to just continue stacking and getting into position. And then going a little deeper, another great content creator, if you like charts and you like people mapping out what's going on in the macro, is Ansel Linder on Twitter. He's got his own show on YouTube as well. And he goes, gold is decoupling from Bitcoin, leading like it did in 2020. Note, gold is on a normal scale and Bitcoin is on log, and gold's rally was 40% versus Bitcoin's 660%. So you can see in the last bull run in 2020 that once Bitcoin decoupled from the Bitcoin price and started to kind of lead the rally, again, you got to remember that gold is essentially the leader in the quote unquote hard money gang. It's basically our uncle or grandfather, however you want to look at it. But if you are traditionally a hard money advocate, then you're a gold bug. But there's a new kid on the block, and it is Bitcoin. So we're still in our nation stage. We're still young. Remember what we said yesterday, that the age of Bitcoin is what matters. And gold has a 2,000-year head lead on its age, and Bitcoin is only at 15. So we're seeing that in 2020, once this happened, that's when we really started to go back into the bull run. Well, we finally got that decoupling, and Bitcoin's kind of going sideways, a little down. So soon enough, maybe we'll give it a couple of months. It should seem that the Bitcoin price should start running again, maybe around the election. And another metric here, which I thought was pretty interesting. Again, this is kind of referencing gold with Bitcoin price. And I really don't know who this guy is, but I think this is some, no, Bitcoin analysis. I was gonna troll and say, go join his TA, but don't join his TA group. All right, but he goes, Bitcoin bull run begins. Every time there is a global liquidity index breakout, a bull run begins. And you can see, again, referencing the 2017 bull run right here for the visual people, that once it breaks out over this red line is when the price starts pumping. And this is played out multiple times throughout Bitcoin's life. Again, it's not too many data points, so we're just kind of speculating on this. But we do see that there is some correlation with this indicator here. And again, I'm not a TA guy. I am not telling you to trade your life based on some TA from Twitter. I'm just giving you like where my head is at and where I think we are in this cycle. So we just broke out of that, global liquidity index breakout. And so it seems like what we are all feeling, that we are going to start to see a bull run, or the next leg of the bull run start to commence, whether it's after the elections or not. We're starting to see some good signs of health in the network. And this last one is really interesting. I haven't seen this chart before, but I find it it's actually from the same guy, but someone else just posted it. So shouts out to Aura Lane Ohayan. Sorry, bro. Apologies. And I really like this. And I, of course, anytime I can really stockpile some hopium in this about a super cycle, I'd love to do it. So Kyle Chassis goes, if you don't know what a super cycle is, you're going to find out real soon. And I love this. I really don't know what these indicators are, but I do love this idea because I do believe in the banana zone, and that's where we're headed. So you can see it. I don't know what these circles are, but it seems to be following this very similar pattern where we are going to get an incredible bull run going into the 2025 year and possibly top out at beginning of 2026. Essentially, he's got an indicator here, 400K. I don't think the price matters much. It's more of where we are in the cycle that I wanted to cover this. And it really goes to this picture here. To sum it all up, is the Bitcoin halving cycles, aka the banana zone, guys. So we've seen this play out multiple times, rather 4 times. I know the data points in the Bitcoin network are not too many, so we can't figure out a trend here. But based on past performance in Bitcoin, it seems like we are at the point now, whether it's because of the elections, because of the 4-year cycle, we're at the point now where, and of course, this chart here for everyone on YouTube, this is in, it's not in log chart, so that's why it looks so incredible. But you can see 2020, it goes kind of sideways, it kind of range bound, and then it starts to go absolutely nuclear, and you see some omega candles. Same thing happened in 2016. The halving happening, then it kind of goes sideways. You crab for a little bit, and then we'll argue for the point of this bit that around the election is when the price starts running again. In 2021, we saw something similar after 2020 and 2024. This was posted, I think, towards the end of August, but I think it's still a great visual. So we're at this point right now where it's probably going to go a little sideways. And then after the election, probably the end of 2024, going into 2025 is when we're really going to enter that banana zone. Anyways, with that all being said, I'm not here to give you my trading group, my TA advice. I just want to give you guys, the new people in the chat, the people that are here and they're wondering what's going on with the Bitcoin price. They're like, man, this price action is boring. I was promised Lambos. I was promised 100K. I'm promised 1 million Bitcoin on this show. What's going on? We can't even break out of 58K. And again, the signal remains the same. Stick to the plan, work hard, and stack Bitcoin. All else is noise. And this is Luke Belmore saying this on Twitter. If you guys don't know him, he's kind of a pretty big influencer. And now that signal is spreading out all around the world that, look, nothing has changed here. Bitcoin keeps ticking on. TikTok next block. The fundamentals of Bitcoin, I think, have never been stronger. We have a perfect storm on the horizon, whether it's the institutional capital coming in, whether it's the nation-state global hash war playing out, whether it's the potential retail FOMO that we should see coming up in 2025. And then, of course, the halving cycles play out. I think we are seeing a perfect storm, and these things will cascade on top of each other. And I think 2025 is going to set out to be a really great year for Bitcoin. And it's going to be really crazy, really frothy. And I just think right now for everyone is just keep calm, stack sats, make sure your cold storage is set up perfectly. I think we are going exactly as planned, and there's nothing to freak out about. So if you're newer here, the plan remains the same. Stack Bitcoin, take it into custody, continue to stack as much as possible. 2025 is probably going to be a very explosive year, and all of these charts are kind of coming out right now to explain to people out there who are wondering, is the bull market over, or the bull market over? Are we ever going to see all-time high again? Are they manipulating the price? I think the fundamentals are showing us that Bitcoin is going exactly as designed, exactly as we have foreseen. So just chill out, stack some sats, enjoy the content. We'll keep updating you guys on all the news going on. But there's my TA for the day. I think I do this once every 3 months or something. So Opti's TA class is over.
Opti's TA, bro. Wow.
All right, Nico.
We're getting
your
to
thoughts.
TA. We're getting to TA stuff.
Yeah,
Look,
we're at the bottom of the barrel when we're doing price predictions in TA. No, I'm just joking.
We didn't do a price. We didn't do a price prediction.
I'm trolling.
No, Simply Bitcoin does not do price predictions, and we don't do technical analysis. Not to shit on any channels that do that, because I'm a big fan of content creators in general, and content creation is extremely difficult, and everyone has a different approach to it. So I'm not judging everyone. Everyone, has a different cup of tea. If that's your cup of tea to watch TA stuff, that's on you. That's my advice on all this is just stay humble, stack sats. Time in the market beats timing the market. I've bought the tops. I've bought the bottoms. I've been doing this for 8 years. Opti's been doing this for 7 years. I'm in a much better place than I was 8 years ago. Opti's in a much better place than he was 8 years ago or 7 years ago. Bitcoin's giving me my career. I've been able to start a media company with Opti, with all the pains that comes along the way. Bitcoin is hope. When you save and earn in a deflationary currency, the runway just keeps getting longer. Things just keep getting cheaper. Life just keeps getting less expensive around you, whether that's real estate or food or any of these things. So, hopefully Bitcoin continues to follow its cycle. I personally, my belief is I think we're going to have a great Q4, especially if Trump gets elected. And I think we're going to have a great 2025. Do I know that for sure? No, but that's just based on the fact that Bitcoin's done this since its inception. Like since the beginning, it's always kind of followed this cycle. And I think it has to do with the supply shock. So every time there's a halving, the amount of Bitcoin that's the sell pressure that's being put on the market gets cut in half from the miners, and then eventually about a year or so after that, there tends to be an explosive movement up. That's been the case all of Bitcoin's history. Does that mean that it's going to be like that moving forward? No, but at the same time, if you look at the fundamentals, infinity divided by 21 million, the fact that all these institutions, a BlackRock, Cantor Fitzgerald, Wisconsin Pension Fund, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, all have exposure to Bitcoin. BNP Paribas, the second largest bank in Europe. Goldman Sachs has exposure to Bitcoin. Michael Saylor's stock is outperforming the rest of the S&P 500, including NVIDIA. Like, if you look at all of the fundamentals, it just points to the fact that Bitcoin is going to continue to outperform because it is the scarcest asset on the face of the planet that has unique physical characteristics that allow the individual for you to take self-custody of it, for you to send it anywhere around the world for pennies on the dollar. Yes, this is a superior asset, the likes of which the world has never seen before. So if you pay attention to that, it makes you understand that, yeah, we might be crabbing, but I know that I'm holding better money, and I sleep soundly at night. I think everyone would want $100,000 Bitcoin or $1 million Bitcoin tomorrow, right? But that's just part of the course. And another thing, last thing I'll say, guys, because we are getting to the top of the hour, and I wanna open this discussion with Opti. You have to pay your dues. Like you cannot skip paying your dues. And what do I mean by paying your dues? Like Michael Saylor paid his dues. Paying your dues is one cycle. So most people, they get in at the top. By the top, you get absolutely wrecked the next year. You're like 50% down. You scramble to get money together. And you double down. You buy more Bitcoin. And you survive for like another 3 years. And then you benefit from a bull market. Every cycle that you get under your belt, the better it is for you financially and economically. So it's just about how many cycles you've endured, how many cycles you've put up with, and that tends to indicate to me how people how they're doing, right? It just comes down to cycles, like pure simple. Like how many cycles have you been in Bitcoin? That gives me an indication of where you are in your Bitcoin journey, in your rabbit hole journey. It takes a minimum of 4 years. Like, to put it blankly, if you want to speculate on shitcoins and altcoins, you have every right to do so. They trend to zero towards Bitcoin. All of them do. But you have every right to do whatever you want with your money. But Bitcoin, in my eyes, is a sure bet. All you have to do is you put in a portion of your salary into Bitcoin every single day or every month. And you do that for a decade, you're going to be in a really, really good place. That would be my advice. I don't know where we're going to end up in 2025. I don't know where we're going to end up at the end of 2024. But my advice to you is pay your dues, hold for the cycles, believe, stay disciplined in your stacking, make sure that you have more Bitcoin than the day before. And if you do that, you're going to be in a much better place compared to where you started. Look, we got Satwise Janks in the chat. He says, it took me about 8 or 9 years to not give a shit about Bitcoin's price, but it feels good to have achieved that. Yes, that's what American HODL calls Bitcoin Zen. It gets to a point where like the volatility is just, you're just like, okay, whatever, so I promise you that at 58,000, you'll be looking back 10 years from now when Bitcoin's at, a couple $1 million per coin, hopefully. And you're going to be like, dude, do you remember when we were able to buy at 58K? Like you'll be making jokes about it. So that's my advice. I went on a little bit of a tangent, but I hope you guys find this useful. Opti is going to be holding down the host seat tomorrow. I'm going to be going back to Miami. Then I'm going to be going to Vegas next week for Unconfiscatable. Hopefully we'll be doing a couple live shows live from Las Vegas. BTC Sessions is going to be with me and Tone Vase. Hopefully we work them into the live stream. Opti is going to be holding it down the days that I'm traveling. Anyways, guys, this was Simply Bitcoin Live for September 12th, 2024. I'm your host, Nico. This is my co-host, Optimus Fields. We love you all. We appreciate you all. If you guys enjoyed the show, make sure to smash the like button, share the video. Feel like subscribing if you feel like we provided you value, and we'll see you tomorrow for a brand new episode of Simply Bitcoin Live.
You by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.